Welcome to Restaurant Influencers, powered by Entrepreneur Magazine and Yelp. My name is Sean Walchef, founder of Cali Barbecue Media. In life and in the restaurant business, we learn through lessons and stories. Today, we have a very special guest, Chef Roy Yamaguchi. Chef Roy, welcome to the show.
A pleasure to be here, Sean. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Well, we are very honored to have you. Restaurant Influencers, this is a passion project. We're very fortunate that Toast, our primary point of sale partner, believed so much in this project that they are our title sponsor. So they've helped us, our barbecue restaurant, become a digital first restaurant. And they believe in the lessons and stories of people that have built incredible things in the hospitality space. And you have done that. My first question is going to be, you're a James Beard award-winning chef. How do you win the award?
Well, I was fortunate enough to be nominated and won the award back in 1993. And back then it was the so-called the best of the Pacific Northwest. And of course, you have to be voted by your peers. And I was fortunate enough to have a lot of restaurant writers and colleague chefs who kind of cast their vote and nominated me. And then I won the award, and I was in New York City to get the award. So it was very nice.
So, so today we're in 2022. How many restaurants do you currently own?
Well, you know what? I did sell the restaurants on the mainland, so I do have the restaurants in Hawaii. So we have about a total of 10 restaurants in Hawaii that we currently operate.
So can you bring us back to the first restaurant that you opened?
Well, the first restaurant I actually opened was in Los Angeles, and it was called 385 North. And I got about 70 plus investors together.
70?
70 plus investors.
Wow.
And we opened this restaurant right on La Cienega Boulevard. And that's when I first started to really incorporate a lot of the flavors of my past. So, incorporating the Asian flavors. And of course, I went to the Culinary Institute of America in New York and, was able to build my foundation from there. And then working in a great French restaurant back in the late 70s, early 80s, kind of really propelled me to want to do this restaurant, incorporating my heritage, right? Incorporating the Japanese and the travels that I had done to that point. And then like infusing that French flavors with the Asian flavors. And that's how I kind of came up with my own style of cooking way back when.
So when you opened up that first restaurant, we have a lot of people that are in the restaurant business. They have a restaurant or they want to be in the restaurant business. Getting 70 people to buy into your vision is a difficult thing to do, no matter how accomplished you are as a chef. Once you did convince those people, how hard was it to execute on that vision and then to get from one restaurant to two restaurants?
Well, you know what? Got all the money, opened the restaurant, but that was my first restaurant. And it was a really big restaurant. We had 300 and some odd plus seats. And unfortunately, the restaurant only lasted for about 4 years. We had to sell it for about 10 cents on the dollar. But I guess the learning point was that, hey, listen, at the end of the day, we all tried hard. We're trying to make it a go of it. But, at the end of the day, I guess we didn't have enough talent. I'll be honest with you. I felt that I had enough talent, but, the talent that I had was in the kitchen. We were short on the management side of it. And that was a huge lesson that we learned, is that, you need to have the entire, the ability to operate a restaurant from A to Z, meaning that, business-wise or food-wise, service-wise, whatever it may be that makes that restaurant, run is what you need. We were extremely popular. We were very, very popular, and the restaurant did well in the beginning because everybody,
yes.
Of course, in Los Angeles wants to go out when you first open. So, we had all of these individuals coming out and checking us out, but at the end of the day, we couldn't sustain it. And so that's the biggest, lesson I learned from there. So after that, I moved to Hawaii back in 1987 and opened the first Roy's back in 87 in Hawaii. 88.
And when you came up with the idea for Roy's, and that was, the brand, you're building a brand, the essence of who you are and your accomplishments, as well as your desires to pass on your love of hospitality, your love of cooking. Can you take us through that process, the actual idea of Roy's?
Well, back then, there was a great television series called Cheers, and they were
We
they were
love
talking
Cheers.
about, a lot of people talk about this, and and it is true, where you walk into a neighborhood bar, everybody knows you, you're having fun, you're having a great time, you feel comfortable, and I realized that that's one of the things that I lacked at 385 North. We didn't really have any warmth. We had this style, and we had this persona, but we didn't have all the elements that I really felt looking back that makes a restaurant what it is and could be. So we didn't have the warmth. We had good food. Our service was kind of spotty because we had a lot of individuals that really weren't interested in taking care of people, but taking care of themselves. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, those are the things that we lacked. So when I opened when I opened Roy's, I said to myself, hey, listen, you know what? These are things we really need to make sure we do right. Giving great aloha service, making sure this, the food is spot on, and making sure that we all get along, the front of the house, back of the house, we all work together and we work as a team. And we need to make sure we take care of our guests, one guest at a time, and make sure that we provide the wow factor, making sure that, and these are all things that restaurants do in general or should do in general. I mean, it's not something that's, it's a rocket science. It's something that comes from your heart. And these are the things that we lack. So we said, these are the things we need to do for sure.
I love that. I was fortunate to be raised by my grandparents. My grandfather was Bulgarian and my grandmother was Japanese. I'm not Japanese, but she was, and she was the woman in my life that essentially taught me hospitality. She really taught me how to care for people and how to make people feel welcome. Do you remember where you learned hospitality?
Well, you know what? I have to say that, there's a lot of things that you kind of look back in your past and you say to yourself, wow. So, you know, when I really think about hospitality, when I think about all these different things that I do today, definitely has to come from my parents. And one of the things, my mother used to always say, "Okage sama de," and that's what the Japanese always say. And it's, I am what I am because of you. And I never really thought too much of it when I was, growing up, because everybody just said "Okage sama de." Every time you see somebody, you say "Okage sama de," genki desu, or whatever it may be. So, and I was thinking to myself that all these individuals that you meet have something very, very special to give to you. And beyond that, my parents were, my mother was very hospitable. She was always taking care, like if she made me dinner, she used to watch me eat because watching me eat made her happy. My father was a workaholic, and he'd come home and he would make dinners for us. So my father did most of the cooking, but he did it because he loved to cook, but he loved to take care of his family when it came to food. And going to my grandparents, the same thing. When I would spend my summers in Hawaii with my grandparents, my grandfather would always cook for us, and he enjoyed cooking for us. So these are the different things that we learn, from our family, and of course my friends and the people that I've met. And also in Japan, we have what's called omotenashi. It's like wholehearted hospitality. You do it because you want to do it. So it's kind of interesting that the Japanese culture really is, part of all of this hospitality when it comes to, what you do in life. And I think all of these different elements have really propelled me to do what I do today.
I love that. I am who I am because of you. Very powerful. I would love to hear your perspective on Hawaii and how the cuisine in Hawaii has made an impact on you, as well as the legacy that you're leaving. Because
Well,
as you
yeah,
said,
you know
you
what?
are who you are because of you. You're
Well,
leaving an impact. You're making an impact.
well, I appreciate that, Sean. So, being in Hawaii for the last, I don't know, 34 years or something, after leaving Los Angeles, I have moved here. Of course, my father was born and raised on Maui. My grandfather came to, Hawaii back in the early 1900s, leaving Japan. So, this is where, our family had made our home. And, moving back here now, I've been very, very fortunate to really take, the spirit of everybody that lives here, the people that really love to work and to really, guard their traditions and culture. and to be able to take, the great elements of what Hawaii has to offer, because Hawaii has a lot of spiritual stuff, but it also has, a lot of beauty. And then when it comes to food, there's a lot of bounty of products that are harvested, raised over here in Hawaii. So, working with the fishermen, ranchers, and farmers, and everybody that's involved in the hospitality industry, we're able to do what we do, meaning that, we have a lot of great products that we can work with. So, farmers are superstars, and, the ranchers and fishermen, they're all superstars who make our life better. So, I'm here trying to make from what they give me something, hopefully, that everybody would enjoy and think of when they do come to Hawaii.
I love that. Do you remember the first time that you were on television?
Yeah, well, not really. I'll be honest with you, not really, but
you've been on TV. You've been on TV so many times. You were scared?
I know, I was scared to death.
What were you scared of?
Well, you know what? I'm not a front, the front man. I'm not a camera guy. I'm not a guy that really likes to be in front of the TV. So, in front of the camera. So, I'm more of a guy that likes to work in the back. So, even till today, you know what? Like I tell all my guys, hey, you know what? You guys got to be on TV, because that's, one of the ways where you can get yourself out there. But even till today, I still get nervous. But the reason why I get nervous is because I want to do a good job. To me, that nervousness is what propels me to do even better, and to take the risk that you need to take in life, where you can get ahead. But yet, to make sure that everybody knows that, hey, listen, we're all in it together, and we have to give a little, take a little, and work with each other, and make things good. So, getting that, little nervousness, to know that, hey, listen, it's still in you. You still got the fire to want to do better, to me, is extremely important.
Yeah, I think, one of the reasons why we put on this podcast is to teach people that are in the restaurant space, the hospitality space, that sharing your story extends beyond the four walls of your restaurant. And it's something that's very hard to do. It's hard for people that are introverts to do. It was hard for me to do, because talking about craft barbecue in San Diego on the West Coast is just not something that, the barbecue meccas of the world actually, I have people from Kansas City and Texas going, what does this guy from San Diego think he's doing talking about craft barbecue? But it's so important to share your story. And it's so important that no matter how nervous you are, no matter how difficult it is, to share your personality and who you are. Was there a time through the TV series, or through the cookbooks, or through all the media that you've done, where you started to understand that the brand Chef Roy Yamaguchi was actually better for you to share more, as opposed to stay behind the scenes?
Well, I think so. Sean, that's a good point, because I truly believe that, having conversations, and exchanging ideas is where we all come together. And when you exchange these ideas, and you talk, you find that, in all cultures, you find that, we're a lot more similar than we are different, because, we have different ways of maybe saying things, but at the end of the day, or through actions, whatever it may be. But a lot of times, you end up with kind of like the same goal, and there's a lot of different cooking techniques, or different ways of doing things, whether it be for instance, we have what's called the imu here, so we do the underground pig and so forth. But I think in Mexico they have what's called the barca cola or something like that, which is the method that they use to do the same thing, roasting the pig underground. Yep. And
they do it in Bulgaria as well.
Okay, so there's a lot of different ways that we do things. So when you start talking about food and culture, and breaking rice with each other, you find that there's a lot of similarities.
Yes. Yeah. It's, every village is the same once you start to look at it. And once you think of, the thing that we love and that connects all of us is hospitality, bringing somebody into into your home, and that's the way that, restaurant owners approach the business. Otherwise we wouldn't do the work that we did if we didn't care about people. Ultimately,
Right.
it comes down to the humans and making memorable moments, not just for our customers, but as you said, for the farmers, for our vendor partners, for the people that are all connected to us, the people that work
Well,
for us.
with that said, Sean, for me, I always think that, I look at um, the humanistic side of a chef first. Are they good humans?
Yeah.
Are they good people? And when they are good people, that to me, that makes their abilities of a chef even higher, because I think that that's what we need, as in life, as we want good people making good food, not bad people making good food, but good people, good heart, with good soul, and that's what makes, to me, our industry so great,
So
because there is a lot of people that care.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we believe the same thing. We always hire for heart. We hire for hospitality. The skill set that we can teach somebody how to slow smoke barbecue, go through the process. Does it take time? Absolutely. Does it take a craft? Absolutely. But the heart is really the thing that you can't teach. When you look back on your restaurant career, it's always easier to look at all the successes, and you have many of them. Is there any lessons from any of the failures that you can share with our listeners? Any
Well,
story?
yes. Well, because you know what, like I mentioned before, 3D Five North was a failure when it came to, when it came financially. It didn't work out. After 4 years, we sold it, 10 cents on the dollar. But at the end of the day, we didn't have the hospitality. We were missing hospitality. We were missing the want to take care of people. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of restaurants out there fighting for the same dollar. But at the end of the day, you can't think in the terms of dollars. You have to think in terms of how many people can you make happy today?
Yeah.
What can you do for people today that's going to be above and beyond? I mean, what can you do to give that wow factor? What can you do to make that move? And you're anticipating someone else's thinking or move, and then you're right there, and to give them something that they want it, but haven't asked for. So these are, and of course, the sparkle in the eye, to be able to just be able to you know meet them through your heart, and so those are the things, to me, looking back, are so crucial, and we need to make sure, and we need to continue to teach. We need to teach that to everybody coming into the industry, and to say, hey, listen, you know what? These are the things that we all need to do to make our industry even better.
So I heard you on a podcast with Guy Kawasaki, Remarkable People, phenomenal interview. We'll put a link in the show notes, but he asked you a question about Gordon Ramsay and Hell's Kitchen. And I was very fascinated with your answer. And I was hoping you could share that with the audience. And he asked you about kitchen nightmares and about, just the way that he comes across in reality television. But what you responded was, it was about timing. Why is timing so important in the kitchen?
Well, timing to me is extremely important to the kitchen, because that's when everything kind of falls into place. And we're always fighting for time when we're in the kitchen, because we're always trying to make sure that we want to get things done when people are waiting for their food. So, but at the end of the day, timing is extremely important, because that's where we all need to get together in the kitchen to make sure that whatever we're making comes together and it goes out, and nobody has to wait, and everybody gets their food nice and fresh. But working, well, being a judge on Gordon's show was actually fun for me, because you know what, he's an incredible human being, and he's a great person. And he may come across harsh, but in reality, he's out there, making sure that everybody's comfortable. He's making sure that everybody's good, as far as the people that are around, and just taking care of people, making sure that they can do stuff to make these contestants happy and stuff. And I saw a side of him that I wouldn't normally see on TV, and I thought that was a very heartwarming to see that someone that intense in the kitchen on TV, but yet he has such a warm side to him. So that was pretty nice to see.
One of my biggest failures as a restaurant owner for a long time was not asking for help, not seeking mentorship from people who had been there and done that. Especially in this day and age, I opened a restaurant in 2008. There was it's easy to Google something, you can get an answer, but sometimes it's better to find mentors in your life, chefs in your life, business people in your life that you can reach out to. Do you have any mentors or any stories of mentorship? Somebody that
Yes,
helped you along
I
the
do
way?
have a lot. I mean, there's a lot of individuals that I've met, but when it comes to definitely in culinary, Chef Leroy Folsom, Chef Joseph Almondola, these were great individuals back in the heydays of the Culinary Institute of America when I was there as a student. Of course, there's Chef Tim Ryan today, the president of the institute, that does incredible stuff. But back then, Joseph Almondola, Leroy Folsom were just great individuals. Michel Blanchet, Chef John Bertinu, the proprietor of L'Ermitage where I work, both of them. And, working side by side with them was just incredible, learning a lot and seeing a lot of different techniques. And, they're the ones that really kind of like, got me to really, go out there and, make some moves in the culinary world. But aside from them, of course, it's like I said, when it comes to Ikaga Samade, it's like all the different people that I've met and that have, that I've talked to and spent time with, they all have something to give. And if you're willing to listen and, and take advice, there's a lot of advice out there. Some people just have too much ego to take it and to, and to learn. But, to me, keep your eyes open, ears open. And, there's a lot of information out there that you can get firsthand that's very, very rewarding.
Do you have any advice for people that want to build a team? You said how important it was, and one of the failures, which I appreciate your honesty, and when you opened up your first restaurant, was not developing a team. Do you have any teammates that you'd like to recognize that have really helped you build the brand and become the company that you are today?
Of course. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that. I mean, we have a lot of great individuals. Like for instance, when it comes to the original Roy's, we opened 33 years ago. Chef Gordon Hopkins. We have Philip Shaw, manager, Christian Maldonado, Randy Caparoso. These are individuals that came together and did our wine program, our service, and really worked with us on a day-to-day basis. We argued a lot. We threw things at each other, but at the end of the day, it was all for good because you know what? It made us stronger and better and bigger. And so these are individuals that put a lot of effort into a lot of thinking. And of course, along the way, Reiner Kumbrock, and we have Mike Weber, Garrett. It just Robin Chim, who's sitting on the other side of this film somewhere. But anyways, we have a lot of individuals that really helped us out. These are people that we work together with on a day-to-day basis, and worked on tasks. And even when they're gone today and doing other things, you know what? I still talk to these people because I think that a lot of them still have great ideas and they know what hospitality is. And there is no secret. It's not a secret. You know what? Hospitality, what it is, and if you want to take care of people and take care of situations, and you know what? It's not that it's not hard to do, but what I'm saying is that you have to put in the effort to want to do it. You have to have the want, So anyways.
What do you do personally? What is a personal habit that you have or a professional habit that you have that helps you maintain your focus and your drive?
You know what? I think first for myself, I'm just talking about myself, is discipline. You know what? You have to be disciplined. In whatever you do, you have to be disciplined. You have to be able to do the right thing at the right time, under pressure for the right reasons. And, a lot of times it's difficult, but you have to be able to be disciplined to make sure that you get things done and it's always timely. When it comes to getting things, tasks done, I'm to me, I cannot stand when someone puts things off. I'll do it later. You know, you got to do it now. You got to take care of it now, because you may not have the opportunity later. And, you know, a lot of times they say, listen, you know what? Be ready too, because there's a lot of opportunities out there, and you have to be able to kind of like feel it. You have to be able to touch it. And sometimes if you can't touch it, well, you have to be able to feel something that's coming your way and take advantage of it. So if you see the opportunity, you have to be ready for that opportunity.
So we're going to put links in the show note, royyamaguchi.com. If I had to ask you, and I know this is an impossible question, as it's like naming your favorite child, but as far as your favorite restaurant right now, or a restaurant that you're proud of that's doing something unique and different on social media, which restaurant would you say that our listeners should follow?
I don't know. You know what?
We're gonna put links. We're gonna put links to all the restaurants in the show notes to make sure that no child is left unaccounted for.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Hey, listen, royyamaguchi.com is what I do. You know, I mean, that's where you find whatever I'm doing, whether I'm, skydiving. No, I'm not skydiving. But, you know, I mean, whatever I'm doing is there. So, you know, we have a lot of great individuals, you know, that work for us. You know, I forgot to mention like Craig Bixel, who does, you know, a lot of our social media, our ads and stuff. So, hey, listen, this is a family, this is a team. So, you know, just go to royyamaguchi.com and you'll find a lot of different things. And hey, listen, if you like it, you know that there's a lot of individuals that are involved with that. And you know, they make me look good. So, you know.
Well, I love it. And, you know, our plan is to take this show to a streaming show. So eventually someday I'll come to Hawaii and be able to actually break bread and show off one of your restaurants with our entire team. We're super grateful that we have this opportunity that Toast has provided us, and Entrepreneur Magazine and Yelp, to talk to the best of the best in the world. You truly are a legend, and you're only getting started. You're very, very, very young, and the amount of impact and influence that you have in the restaurant space and hospitality space, we're truly honored and grateful. If you guys have questions for me, you can always reach out at Sean P. Walchef, or you can email me, sean@calibbq.media. Chef Roy Yamaguchi, you can find him at royyamaguchi.com. We will put links in the show notes. Stay curious, get involved, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Chef Roy, do you have any final words of wisdom for our listeners that are in the restaurant space?
Hey, at the end of the day, you know what? We all got to do it together. We're all in it together. So, you know what? Anybody that needs some information, or if I can help them out in any way, you know, please do, you know, contact Sean or contact royyamaguchi.com. I'm more than willing to help. You know what? We got to stick together, because that's who we are.
I love it. A rising tide lifts all ships. You heard it from Chef Roy himself. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate the opportunity. Aloha.
Aloha. On Restaurant Influencers, you will learn how to share your brand story online from the best smartphone storytellers in the restaurant and hospitality space. Powered by Entrepreneur Media and Yelp, our weekly show will explore the creator economy ecosystem so that you can find opportunities for your food business to grow. Thanks to Toast, our primary technology partner at Cali Barbecue Media, for not only sponsoring this show, but for helping restaurants become digital-first businesses. If you want to learn more about why we switched from Aloha to Toast after 12 years in business, and how Toast can help your restaurant become a digital-first restaurant, please send us a DM today at Sean P. Walchef, ShawnPWalchef. Thank you.